this habit science behind Big Five consistency. So a lot of you understand James Clear. You understand habits. You understand that drinking your water is probably better than drinking a beer and all these things. But how do you actually do it consistently? Because we hear it a lot. I can't stay consistent, or I fell off track. I was doing so well until my dog ate my homework, some other excuse. Why can't I stick with anything? That really becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So we don't want that kind of language. But today's session is all about getting more consistent, but not doing it in a way where you have to like rely on motivation and grit your teeth and force these things. Okay. So this might sound familiar. Some of you are past this at this point, but you start everything new with good intentions, lots of enthusiasm. You're checking all the boxes, crushing your goals. And then it's so easy for the habits to fall apart. Like one missed workout becomes 5. That's why I never like going more than a week without a workout. I don't like the soreness coming back for one, but I find the habit gets broken so quickly. It's all automatic as long as I continue to do it. But if I don't, SHIT hits the fan. So then that usually cascades into a lack of consistency to your meal prep, or your water intake drops, and these old patterns return, right? It becomes that cycle. And then, potentially life hits. We hear this all the time, work deadlines, family needs help. All the more reason to have your health and you, priority. But our brains seem to rationalize putting ourselves last when these happen. And that's when it all falls apart. Okay. All right, it's making me zoom in. There you go. So this is a great quote. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Again, a lot of the themes here are from this iconic book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. I mean, he basically summarized a lot of stuff that was discovered before him, but put it all into one neat little package. And that's why I figure it is the Bible on habits. Okay. So if you haven't read that book, by all means do so. But we're basically picking out all the important pieces in today's quick call. So number 1 is environment design, because it's hard to succeed in an environment set up to fail. Okay, so what this means is if you're always falling short on your water intake, you've got a water bottle, a big ass water bottle that maybe tracks your total volume for the day on the side or something. Hopefully it keeps it cold, stainless steel, or whatever these are called, Yetis or something, aren't they? There's a new name for them. Stanley would be the one that's most prominent these days. Okay, I like the comments. Maybe it's missing workouts or getting kind of in your head about them, then lay out the gym clothes the night before or put them on. Or if you're driving home from work, the gym bag's on the seat next to you and you're being prompted that it matters. This is a big one. Abby talks about all the time. Pre-log your meals in the morning. Kind of forces you to plan in advance. You'll save money, certainly, because you're not flying off the cuff. But, as the day kind of goes on, the less good decisions you can really make. So try to make those early or the night before. And then this is super obvious, but like if your kryptonite food is in the fridge, you or likely someone is going to eat it eventually. Right. I call it the law of red velvet cake. I think they just had a birthday, actually. Sal's, the local restaurant with the best red velvet cake in the world. And as long as that doesn't get into my car and then into the fridge, it won't get into my belly and contribute to my calorie deficit being blown out of the water. So special occasions only. And same goes for apps on your phone. Food tracking apps. They'll send you a perfectly timed notification at 5 p.m. Friday to order that pizza for 2-for-1 deal. So control your environment as best you can. Feel free to chat or share in the chat anything that works for you as well on these things. So a lot of you guys are vets and you'll have good things to share that we can kind of crowdsource. Number 2 is habit stacking. So this is where you do something daily and now you just tack on something you want to add to your routine that's going to help you in your health. So after you brush your teeth, maybe you crush a good chunk of your water for the day in the morning. Or at night, maybe it's potentially doing 10 push-ups. Like whatever is going to get you in the habit of doing something for you, tie it in. I saw a cool little Instagram video from someone who morning coffee, and then they hold a squat and they do a little bit of a mobility circuit, couple movements to limber up, and the cue is the coffee. She's literally holding the coffee while holding a squat. I'm like, oh, that's not a bad idea, right? So in this case, maybe you log your meals for the day if you have a little bit of time to just enjoy that first cup without crashing into your day. After a meal, maybe it's a 10-minute walk. Or after work, maybe it's right to the gym in your basement or actual commercial gym. Like that cue is finishing work. Now I do this. Any to add, I'd love to hear them. That's just 3 examples. Habit stacking. Sometimes people go pretty obscure with this. Okay. So this is also from the book, setting up one-time actions that you do once essentially, and you reap benefits, rewards from forever from there, frankly. So if you want to sleep better, set up your environment for success. Maybe it's you got to remove the TV from the room or have a reverse alarm on your phone that goes off to say, okay, now it's time to read, or blackout curtains or something obvious that's going to drain out the noise outside if you're in a noisy urban area or something. Same thing with our digital environments. These we spend a lot of time on, and they're designed to distract us and tempt us and suck us into all sorts of things. So, everyone's different here, but maybe it's a screen time limit. There is like a built-in app nowadays where you can set it to close you out after a certain amount of time. I feel like you can override those pretty easily though, so they're not that effective. I know one guy that actually bought a lockbox for his phone and he puts it in there at 6 p.m. Can't take it out till the kids are in bed. But at the very least, like delete the food delivery apps if that's a real thorn in your side. One actual step to help you win. And then more or less the same thing with food. Try not to buy things that you're going to be tempted by. Have the treats, but have them in controlled amounts. Like I talked about the fudge bars individually wrapped versus the big ass tub of ice cream that one bowl turns into 4. 4 bowls, yeah. I can be the 4 bowl person. So meal prep might work there. Grocery delivery subscription. Those are harder to come by in Canada. But that was one James mentioned. I like to use Instacart when I get the $40 off coupon. That's pretty sweet. Someone does my grocery shopping for me and it's less money. Win-win. Okay. So yeah, like I talked about in the email today, we're all kind of wired to look to immediate gratification. It's just how our brains have been functioning for thousands of years, frankly. So that cigarette is a stress reliever. We don't care if it causes lung cancer 2 decades from now, potentially. We should, but our brains don't in the moment. So that's why it's so hard to quit. So in this case, what we do is try to get you gamifying the process with these challenges, with the app having the kind of visual checking off. I have a tracker that I'm going to actually share with you too. That might be something you want to supplement the app with. Totally up to you. It might work, it might not. I like the Wins Wednesday, like just sharing, small wins along the way creates this immediate positive feedback for yourself. It makes you self-reflect on how well you're doing, because the brain will obviously fixate on what's not working. And then you've got the streaks, right? Hit your water goal. You get those badges in the app, gamified. Right? So you can do it with a physical calendar if that's your thing. Seinfeld, it's called the Seinfeld strategy. Jerry Seinfeld just didn't want to break the chain of check marks, and he had to write for at least 10 minutes, write a joke every night. Then he would get his check mark if he skipped an X, and he was just trying not to break the chain of check marks, or at least have a good amount of check marks at the end of the month. All right. So this is really cliche, but true. Choose your hard. You've seen all those cliches and memes and inspirational messages. Well, we just have to get into the routine, I think, of choosing good habits more often. And then it's less about pushing that boulder uphill, which it will be early on. It's hard, but once you hit the downslope, the good habits come a lot easier because you start to see the benefits, not only like physical change, but just in your mood, your energy, all these things. All right. Type yes in the chat if this is still clicking. Making sure we're making the big 5 automatic. That's the idea. Like it. So big takeaway on this, you can screenshot this if you want, but set up your space for success. So that's not just your physical home environment, work environment. If you go to an office, try to encourage them to not have the candy on the desk. Maybe it's a fruit bowl instead. If you find there's always donuts in the lunchroom, maybe don't even go in there, you know? And same thing with your digital environment. Control your inputs as best you can. All right. Then we want to stack habits, the things we're already doing. If you're always falling short on water, maybe you have to have a liter of water before you have your coffee in the morning. But the one example I shared was like a little bit of a mobility circuit while you have your morning coffee. And that's your cue. You do it daily. For me, I was trying to improve like vestibular balance because I did a big test. I think that was 2 years ago now. And that was the only area I really scored like below average. And like, what's wrong with my balance? Like, I don't know, maybe I'm too tall. And that was no excuse. Now I do, after I shower, I get out of the shower and I do these simple exercises for balance. And because I shower daily, or should, I'm doing that habit daily. So I would assume I would score a lot better on that now. Been several years. Okay, track the small wins and then keep it going. Momentum over motivation. You know, consistent habits beats perfect inconsistency every time. I read right off the slide there. Okay. Any questions on this? What was your biggest takeaway? I'd love to hear that, if nothing else, in the chat or unmute yourself. We're all friends here, so I want to get the convo going.
I think the habit stacking is always a really good one. I mean, I did read Atomic Habits, but the habit stacking, honestly, I think that's the one that really gets me going because then things become automatic after something you're already doing anyway. So,
do you have an example to share of what worked for you?
right now, like a new one that I'm doing, and actually Kirsten's the one that got me into the lemon ginger water to get the morning started when she was visiting.
Nice.
Um, was now that I'm doing that while while my water's getting ready in the morning, I go and do my breath work. So just my morning, like a quick morning mindfulness. So that's something new that I started with the current challenge. So that's a new thing for me.
Uh-oh. This is what happens when you're at the lake. You cut
Oh,
out.
can't you hear
You
me?
still there? Yeah,
Can you
we
hear
missed the
me?
last bit. I think it would actually make
Sorry,
my
I
internet
just
connection.
said that it's like the new thing for me is the drink, and then while the water's
Yeah.
getting ready, the morning mindfulness, just a 1 minute, 2 minute breath work while my water's boiling, and then I go back and get it ready and go down and do my workout. So
Awesome. Yeah, a
And
lot
if
of the
I,
rising. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
sorry, I was just going to follow up before Martha, noted my contribution to her routine. That that was just going to be what that is me stacking my habits in terms of starting every morning with, fresh lemon and fresh ginger in hot water, just not quite boiled, and then following that up with black. I don't drink coffee, so it's always black tea for me. So before I even really leave the house, I've already had at least a liter and a half of water.
Perfect. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah. Alana says, I stack meal prep while I'm slurping my morning coffee. Or you're going to start that. I like that one. Yeah. Because you're sitting there drinking coffee, might as well set your intentions for the day. Get your head thinking about your meals. Good call there as well. Anyone else have a good habit stack, Irene?
I stack as soon as I start my coffee, I then do a full liter of water, and then I drink 12 ounces, 16 ounces.
Nice. Yeah. If you can tie it to something you do every day, it becomes so much simpler. I think that's really the takeaway from today's call is stack the habits. And and I don't know if I went this direction today. I don't think I did, like temptation stacking. Like if it's something you enjoy doing, tie it into something that you don't necessarily want to do in the early going. For example, like the guy that linked his, and this is too advanced for most of us, but linked his stationary bike to Netflix. So as long as he was pedaling at a certain speed, he could watch his streaming shows. As soon as he dipped below or got off the bike, no longer accessible. So extreme example, but if you can do, maybe get your steps in while watching an episode of your show at the end of the day, but you can't watch the show without that, you know, it doesn't have to be that dogmatic, but that might be an effective way if you continue to fall short on steps, for example. We've got a Sunday prep. I think that's a good idea, Linda. A lot of us do that, where you set yourself up for the week for success. Anything else works for you guys? Abby, if you're here, you might as well chime in a little bit on this topic if there's anything that works for you. I know you have some systems obviously down pat at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just you got to put the reps in, and as you do that, things just become automatic. So, you know, at this point, what used to be hard is now easy, and that's just from consistent like reps. And so yeah, you gotta, if something's not working, you know, it's like insanity, right? You can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. So if you're not hitting your protein, if you're not getting your workouts in week after week after week, like something has to change. There has to be something that you do differently. And yeah, it's just putting the reps in at some point, all of this becomes habitual.
Yeah, I was having dinner with my family the other day, and my brother's like, "Oh, it's 21 days to build a habit, right? 21 days to build a habit, you'll be good." I'm like, "No, not necessarily." The timelines vary, but it's the reps that matter. Like if you do water, you hit your water goal 2 times in 21 days. I don't think you've built any sort of routine there. It's about trying to be more consistent over time. And just like Kobe Bryant, like so many shots, taking thousands of shots a day made him so proficient. I went out golfing with my cousin. Like, how are you so damn good? He's like, well, I've been on the driving range hitting thousands and thousands of golf balls over the last 2 decades. I'm like, yeah, that's fair. I golf once a year. So unfortunately, I'm never going to be as good as you unless I start to take it more seriously. But it's natural for us to get frustrated and overlook all the effort, deliberate practice, like good practice. Not, you can practice the bad things over and over, but when you're doing the right things consistently, it becomes the second nature thing. And like I showed with that boulder visual, it feels like you're forcing it at first if it's all new to you, but eventually it hits a downslope, and yeah, you'll deviate from time to time, but you'll be able to get back on track a lot sooner. But yeah, you have to put in the reps. Takes time, takes years, frankly, in a lot of cases. All right. Anything else in this? Systems over habits, although habits form the system. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen then. So I did promise you this tracking sheet. If you hate spreadsheets, no obligation to use this. I mean, the app will do this for me, but a lot of what I see is on the coaching back end, and we don't necessarily, you don't have an easy way of seeing some of this stuff. So you can, if I can share this, and then you just make a copy. Yes. Yeah, I don't want to edit anyone editing this, but file, make a copy. I'll throw this in the chat. Essentially, it will require you to like daily check the boxes here. Yes, no to workouts. Yes, no to calories and protein. I like the total step count if you have it. Otherwise, just yes, no if you hit your 8,000. And then it gives you a weekly summary percentage-wise. And it'll just help you really identify pretty simply what's working, what isn't. You know, we do all this on the weekly check-in. So again, it's a bit redundant, but it's another way of you looking at it. And sometimes we need to see the data in a different way for it to really stick. So feel free to use this. If you're not a spreadsheet person, no worries. We do that in the app. Your coach does all this. We review it each week anyway, but again, I just wanted to play with something a little bit different. I thought it was cool what I came up with. All right. Okay, well, I guess we can leave this odd 5th Wednesday call of the month a little bit early. If you jumped in late, again, we're doing a live event next Tuesday night. Every other month or every 3 months, we tend to do something like this. It's open to the public, but there's extra stuff just for you guys, an additional day and so on. But if you want to spread the word on it, feel free. If you have someone in mind who would benefit from it, it's just a reset after half of summer where people tend to go terribly wrong, and how to get back on the rails. Okay. Head nodding, all set. Okay. Enjoy the smoky sun if you're in Manitoba. Otherwise, all the best, guys.
Thanks,
Talk
Mitch.
soon.
Cheers.
Cheers.